close till I get up. Time is barely on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Playbook for Growth podcast. Two men that are now in their 20s talking to you for the first time, or second time. We had a birthday recording, but anyway, Connor, how are we?
I'm doing great. Feels good to be 20 and sun's out. So that's the start to a
Yeah,
great day.
yeah. That's Connor. I'm Sam. He's got sun. I don't. I had a lovely last few days though. We got some sunshine. We were out in the park, enjoying it. Back to grey skies today, but hopefully sooner rather than later, sun will be here to stay. Which has set me up nicely for the subject of today's episode, something that perhaps everybody can relate to some degree. Just gonna be talking about summer, how summers can be so different from the rest of the year, from a habitual standpoint, from a schedule, lifestyle, all sorts of things. Um, you just kick me off here because explain. A lot of people might already know, but your summers look different even from where you are, so compared to the rest of the year. So how does that look for yourself?
Um, it's a lot about balance. It's about honestly, knowing yourself and knowing what's best for you. Um, I think that, we all go through seasons of life where, plans change, things change, and you got to be able to adapt and make the most out of that situation. Yeah, I've bounced around from, Oregon to Idaho to Calgary, all over. Really, Phoenix, lived there for a couple months. Senior year of high school, I bounce around. But definitely finding a place like a home base in the summer, I think is probably one of the biggest things where, even if you're traveling, you can always go back there and, settle down and, you have your group of people, you have your own bed, you know what you're gonna get. And so for me, even though, I bounce around, traveling for golf and, school and, etc., always having, that foundation of, where my family is and, my own bed and some home cooking and stuff like that, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think in every sense, there's just more time. Like
Yeah.
when I think about it, obviously, um, I mean, I like to make a career out of it as well, but sports just consume me so massively between the stuff that I listen to, this and the stuff that I watch. Like those, for the most part, I mean, everybody likes watching a bit of baseball and enjoying that in the
Yeah.
summer, but whether it's football here, European football, whether it's the NFL, the NHL, the hockey, the basketball, it's all gone. That spreads out so much time for me. And then on top of that, when I'm staying at home, like you say, it cuts out so much of the time preparing food, making your bed, doing your laundry,
Yeah.
really looking after yourself because we're both blessed to have, the best mums in the world. Like you're, yeah, you have
Amen.
so much more time to yourself being at home. And I'm not saying that applies to everyone, but for a lot of people, that is how it is. The summers, they're just so vastly different in the amount of time that's afforded to you. Whether or not you're working a lot or not, might affect that. And for me, I'm working more during the year than in the summer months. But it's just also different. So I feel like it's worth a discussion as it's coming up because there's a lot of people that like myself and yourself, attacking goals. Trying to be better, trying to improve. Whether that's through our lifestyle, through whatever it might be, with our habits, whether
Yeah.
spiritually with God, all sorts, everything. Uh, am I wrong in saying that summer can be a time where some of these goals and habits can perhaps get thrown off the course?
No, you're not wrong at all. I think you're spot on, actually. I think that it's kind of a time where, people like to reset and relax. Honestly, I mean, like, think about it. You go through a whole year of school, or, you could go be in grade five, grade 12, first year of uni, you're going to go through a year of school. And it's kind of like go, go, go. And it feels like it's go, go, go for the whole year. And then you kind of get to May and April, and you're like, okay, it's summer. Now it's time to relax. And with that relaxing aspect, you get I don't know if lazy is the right word, but you start to, lose sight of what really matters to you and what really mattered
Complacent.
to you. Yeah, exactly. Content, complacent. Yeah, good, good words there of where you're trying to go. And you kind of put your goals and, your good habits on hold for summer because it's summer. Everyone talks about summer. I can't wait to get to summer. No class, no schedule, sleep in, do whatever you want to do. And so I think it's really important to, if you're going to lessen your good habits, at least keep them, don't totally, abolish them. Okay, I'm going to, sleep in and, I'm not going to wake up at 7 and I'm not going to the gym 6 days a week and da 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 da. It's like, you know, it's a whole different life then. You're creating a whole different life after you instill these good habits into your brain and you instilled them into your life. And it's just it's a waste to, just throw them out.
Yeah, Cal Newport, he talks about high quality rest and making your rest good. He'll talk about if you spend a day scrolling on your phone, which we've both I'm sure done, spend far too much time on a screen, don't hold a meaningful conversation, don't get outside, don't work out. You spend a day like that, you don't eat right, even just one or two of those things, but especially when they compound, you don't feel rested, you don't feel uh, you don't feel mentally good about yourself or physically, right? Like it doesn't really replenish you or refresh you. A lot of people fall into that trap on a Sunday. It's
Yeah.
either church or even nothing for some people, and it can be a day of just rotting, and that can really set them back. And so what Cal Newport talks about in his, I think it's Digital Minimalism, one of his books that he touches on, it's like you'll actually feel better by making your rest high quality. And I think in the summer that's particularly important because yeah, you're right, it's a reset, refresh time. But for you, I'm sure a better rest day for you as opposed to maybe enjoying some drinks and sleeping in, having a lot of time on the phone. I reckon for you the best sort of day is to get out on the course and play 18 holes, be out in the sunshine, getting outside, maybe enjoy the hot tub or the pool. I love the hot
Yeah.
tub at Connor's place. Um, those sorts of activities, like you can tell, and each person listening already knows. You both, me and you as well, everybody knows what a bad and a good restful activity looks like, right? And
Yeah.
I think stacking more of the good ones together as opposed to the bad ones are better. And like you say, some habits you just can't stop doing. Like
Yeah.
that's why they're a habit. And I know David Goggins was talking about, a lot of people like to talk about their winter arc in the gym where they go and, whatever it is, eat right and work out almost every day and, put on muscle, whatever it is, lose weight, whatever their goals might be. He's like, it's not an arc, it's a, MF and circle. He's like, summer, spring, fall, winter.
Lifestyle.
He's like, just exactly. It's a lifestyle. Jocko Willink's the same thing. 4:30 a.m. on Christmas morning, every morning, getting the work in. Uh, that's what sets you apart as well, right? So it's difficult. It's definitely difficult, but I really appreciated that from Cal. I think that's an insight that's really helpful. It's helped me. Is that you're going to feel better with your high quality rest, even if it doesn't look like rest, even if you're more active in those days and moments.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are freaks. Jocko, uh, Goggins, like those guys are real gangsters in what they do. And those are definitely figures that we look up to. Strong, fit individuals, and not just physically, but mentally extreme. And those are good mentors for us, and they help us guide us. But even like just like think about like in your own life, self growth, the last years, reflect on what you've done and what you've changed and how you've grown. um I can tell you from if I look back on my life from 19 to 18 to 17 to 16 to 15, whatever, how many years you want to look back on, and you can just see the change and the development in your life. But first, in order to do that, you need to accept the fact that you actually do need to change, and you have to realize first that, okay, this is not going to benefit me in the long run. Future self, my pops always talks about what would your future self, do? You're trying
Delaying
to
gratification.
correct. You're trying to unscrew your future self. So is this task or whatever you're doing consistently gonna, benefit your future self or hurt your future self? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I made 100K this year. Should I buy this watch I want? Or should etc. Should I buy the car, the house, or the purse for your wife, your girlfriend, etc. And so the list goes on. And so for me, what I've noticed is, just me and Sam spent a lot of time together in the last 4 or 5 years, and grown really close. 4 years, and just seeing each other grow and having someone to push you and someone that's always there for you, to push you and be there, and it's like a brotherly relationship, but also it's a competition to for both of us to get better. And it's just a reminder
Yeah,
that
completely.
you got someone beside you that's for you and always with you, and they want the best out of you. And so when
Yeah.
they're pushing you, it's because they love you, right? And it's a tough love aspect. But I think that, it's a really important to reflect, even day to day, but just what habits are you trying to get rid of, and what habits are you trying to replace them with? And replacing the habits is the biggest part of, rather than getting rid of them, is what am I going to replace it with?
Yeah, I completely agree. So you've given me a few things to touch on there. So with the habits thing, you're right, because especially with social media is the big one. People will remove the social media, and then they you find themselves with 4 extra hours a day, and
Mm,
you have to find ways to fill that, right? You can't,
correct.
it's a void that has to be filled. Great point. We can touch on that further. I want to speak about what you said. Obviously, I mean, like we're talking about the summer, but more broadly, it's a general discussion about, just um, what people like us and what our audience is trying to do, better themselves in every facet of life, and just keep moving forward, doing the right things, forward momentum, striving upwards, as Jordan Peterson would say, towards the highest good, really, just in every way.
Mhm.
So just that in general, the importance of peers, and for we in each other, we have someone that, like you've touched on there, just kind of covers every aspect of that you might want.
Mhm.
That's incredibly important, not only with who you've got, as far as in a good way, but also how negatively are some of your peers affecting you? Who's drinking casually 4 or 5 times a week?
Yeah.
Who's not in the gym? Who's smoking? Who's not reading the word? Who's not invested in their relationship with God? Those are the people that are equally as important to eliminate, right? And
Mhm.
I get a lot of, I've had a lot of it in my lifetime, the different places that I've been. People be like, oh, I can't really drop this person because you feel for them, or oh, we've been buddies for so long, all that stuff. Like, well, I mean, Connor, you can. Where do I even begin with the list, from Chris to to
Yeah.
Jocko Willing to every? I think all of these guys that we listen to are on the same token. You can only take people so far before you gotta, you can't drag them. You can only drag them so far.
Well,
Like,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's the same
thank you.
concept.
So exactly. So at some point, as long as you've given your effort, you gotta let people go. Like that and that's how you continue to strive. And having those, I guarantee, can absolutely wholeheartedly guarantee from experience, having the right people around you makes a world of difference, right? And it's not,
100%.
it's up to these people. You drop them off if that's not a wake up call for them. They stay in their ways. Like, what are you supposed to do, right? And if that is a wake up call for them, you welcome them back. Like
Mhm.
it's the people that are on that path with you that are trying to be better, striving upward. These are the people that you need to keep around you. And equally on the topic as we're talking about, especially times like the summer, times where it's easy to fade, easy to kind of get
Mhm.
out of the habit, when it's easy to, when you're most distracted, when the weather's nicest, easiest to get out and,
Yep.
do things that you shouldn't be doing, whatever that might be, or not do the things that you should do. Having those people around you, massively, massively important, to stay
Yeah.
on track. And that, I've, as I'm sure you have as well, just felt that so much in recent years. You are the people that you spend the most time with. I think that's an incredibly true
Yeah.
uh, sentiment.
100%. I'm not gonna pull it up now, but I'm gonna try to find it actively, not right now, but what's the, you probably know it better than I do, but there's a quote from, not a quote, but
Who's it
there's
by?
a Chris what's his name? Dr. Andrew Huberman, when he talks
Yeah,
about the chat 20s or something, or something like that. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna try to find it, but for the end of the
yeah,
episode. But
please.
essentially, he's talking about, you do all this in your 20s, and you're gonna fulfill yourself now, but your future self is gonna be cooked or script or
Yeah,
however you want to
yeah.
put it. And so I'll try to find it. But anyway, the whole point of what Sam's talking about is, we always talk about this, is who you spend your time with, you become the product of your environment. So if you're spending time with guys that are
So important.
drinking eight bottles of water a day, in the gym, eating right 80% of the time, etc. You still want to have fun, da 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 da. These are the people that you will become. Like if you put me and Sam in Dubai for 4 years with nothing, I guarantee we'd come out not only alive, but probably pretty damn successful, because you got to find a way to survive. You got to find a way. Okay, network. You got to have people skills. You got, okay, I got this guy. Okay, now I got this job. I work myself up. Blah, blah, blah. So it's like you, as a human, you know what you need to do. You know what habits you want to kick, and you know what habits you want to take on. And it's just a matter of making sure that you know your brain. You tell it, you're like, your brain is so powerful. You can do it. Like, honestly, your brain is the most powerful thing ever. You can choose your mindset. You can choose how to think. You can choose your outlook on a situation, right? And so it's kind of like what we talked about, hit that topic of the product of your environment. If you're around people that drink and smoke 20, not 24/7, but you get the point. You're like, oh, I'm in the gym and then I come back and they're drinking and smoking. It's like, well, and it's so easy to fall into that trap. So if you surround yourself and eliminate those people, then it's so hard to do it in the first place.
You're so right. You get fed those feedback loops as well when you're
Yeah.
coming, whether it's the people that you're, surrounded with, especially, like we're both on like student, accommodation.
Yeah.
So you're not always handpicking who you're around, and you
Hmm.
come home and like you say, when everybody around you doing that, you feel like the outlier, you feel
Yeah.
like the weirdo because you're in the gym, you're in bed on time, you're getting up on time, you go to class, you
Yeah.
handle yourself, you're close with God,
Yeah.
all these things that make you feel more like you're out of place. It's like, well, that how's that get? That's not a positive feedback loop. That doesn't.
No.
It makes the rewarder the behavior feel like it's not rewarded when no, in fact, if you're around the type of people that you need to be around, the opposite is
Mm.
what's is what gets punished, and the right things get rewarded. That's massively impactful, right? It,
Mhm.
it it takes, for me especially, for example, when me and Connor are together, which does tend to be summertime,
Mhm.
it's like the willpower that's required for me to get in the gym and push myself and have a workout is probably cut in half, if not even more so, just
Yeah.
by having him next to me, because usually I'm fighting it on my own, and it's harder. I mean, rarely does my brain win, but it's harder when you're
Yeah.
fighting in your own head versus when you have people next to you that are trying to accomplish the same things. That's just, I can't, you know, I don't know how else to express it other than to just say it's so massively important.
Oh, it's so massively important. I mean, you hit it spot on of it's easy, and especially in this setting, to fall into those traps and to fall into,
In our environments, absolutely.
correct, of what transpires, week to week, day to day, etc. It's a good point.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I know you see eye to eye as we tend to.
Yeah,
But yeah, like you
for
say,
sure.
can't um can't really overestimate the importance of that thing and having the right people around you. Moving on. Obviously, like I said, you're well, mine as well. But I know that your routine's massively shifted because you're away from school. You're with your family. You're playing golf most days. I know,
Yeah.
obviously, the weather is as good as it has ever been. Do you find that your summer, and I'm not saying that either way, I'm not saying that, it's your fault, it's kind of, that's just how it is. It's the same over here. But do you find that it's easier or harder in your summer environment to be doing the things that you're supposed to do?
Then again, I think it's if you surround yourself with the right people, then yes, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Um, if you get off track with that, you know, it's harder for you to like you're hanging around with the right people. It goes back to the people, honestly. Like if you're hanging around the people that have a lot of goals and dreams like you do and you're striving for something better, then yes, it's pretty easy to do it, year round. Um, but I want to touch on you also have to have um some individual willpower. You know what I mean? You have to be able to know what pick and choose what you want to do with your day. You got to pick and choose. Am I going to do this? And when you choose that, you're going to have to sacrifice something. And so I think that it's definitely harder in the summer because it's the time of relaxation and complacency, and you're content because now you get to relax because I did a hard thing for 2 semesters. Now it's my time to relax and to chill. And like Sam highlighted, rest is the most important thing uh, you can do. So making sure that you're resting and fueling your body correctly. But I think it's definitely the hardest season is summer to be able to continue those good habits and continue that trajectory of growth that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough. And like you say, you want to enjoy if you've if you've applied yourself properly throughout the year, then yeah, rightfully so. Enjoy your time off in the summer, enjoy your time to relax and replenish, and oftentimes it's when you're surrounded by those that you love the most, and that makes it extra special. But like I said, it's tough balance. I think it's a lot of it is still goes down to the environment. Obviously, weather's warmer, but equally, you know, you've got to be, whether it be through vacations if you've been removed access to be able to work out, or I mean, it could be any number of things. Like based on where you are,
Mhm.
can have just as much of an impact as the people that you're around, and all these factors are important. I
Of
find
course.
that I find that naturally by being outside, being more just spending more time outside because you can, because the weather's that much nicer. I find it easier to do some of the things that are most beneficial for me, which is taking walks without anything in my ears, no phone, no headphones, nothing, those things that, just time to think and pray, and all those things. Like taking walks, just getting more sunlight on your face that Andrew Huberman is massive proponent of. All these sorts of things kind of become easier. And then on the flip side, it's also easier to do, you know, any number of bad things. It's
Yeah,
easier to go out, it's
100%.
easier to drink more, easier to spend more than you need to on all sorts of things. And so yeah, it's striking that balance is tough, but we work on it. And I like to imagine that, you say that, we've been together now a good number of years,
Uh-huh.
figuring this thing out since we met each other. And it's like I think each year, if we were to go back a year and hear ourselves talk a year ago, we'd be thinking, man, he's an idiot. Like
Uh-huh.
you're learning and growing so quickly, especially in these years that they're so
Yeah.
formative, that getting it right now is just gonna um, have such long term effects, and hopefully for the better. Well, I know it'll be for the better. The harder we work now, while a lot of people around us are you know choosing different paths.
Mhm. 100%. I couldn't agree more. And I think that, let's see if I can pull this. I wonder if it'll let me pull the clip up now. Uh,
Hopefully.
maybe it's this
I think
way.
we've played video before, but we'll see.
Is it showing? I don't think it is. Let's see. I'm trying to.
Not yet.
Hmm. Okay, well, I'll try to get it worked out. But anyway, yeah, I think you hit it spot on there too with the if you're traveling, don't have access to maybe a gym or
Just throws you
the
off.
best food. It throws off your routine, and that's the whole point of this episode is the routine is so you get thrown off. But I think the best way to combat that is pick and choose what you're gonna do on your vacation. Get walk, like Sam said, walk. Go with your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, your friends. If you're on vacation with your friends, and just go walk around, experience the culture, experience the great weather, the views, etc. Just be present with those loved people, and if it's by yourself, then just enjoy your own company. Go for a walk, sit in a coffee shop. I mean, like in Greece, when I went, I went for a walk alone, went to a coffee shop, and just sat there and just looked at the ocean and the sun, and there's Greek people, speaking the language, and it's just a cool setting
Insane how valuable those
to
things are. They're so
it's very
simple and so
valuable.
valuable.
And it's just
Yeah.
like you appreciate the culture, you appreciate and you're just there in your thoughts and you did good things. And I think the bottom line to summer, vacation, whatever it may be, is try to do the best that you can of where you're at. Make do with what you have. You know, if you have a gym, then make do with it. And if you can't eat well, then eat the best that you can, and vice versa, and all that stuff, and just make the best of it.
Yeah. You're totally right. And do what's within your power, within your
Mhm.
ability to set yourself up for success. Because
Right.
it's one thing to say, perhaps that oh, my environment causes this or whatever. But if you're financially capable of, say, buying better food, you know, um, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
if there's just if you're compiling excuses, there's always, I can't remember who originally said it. I'm sure a lot of people have said it, but there's always reasons not to do something. And
Yeah,
as do what's within your power to make it easier for yourself. So I think that's a good way to summarize it, is to get around the right people, as we have with each other, and others. We both got others as well. But get around the right people. Set out, kind of maintain the best you can your schedule. Don't just go every day with nothing planned, because that's how bad decisions get made. That's how more money gets spent than needs to be. All those sorts of things. Be
yeah,
around the right people, schedule as much as you can, and set yourself up for success with your environment. And those three things will make it easier in the summer to have high quality rest more often than rotting away or drinking too much or
yeah,
whatever the things might be that get in the way. And that just makes a big difference, I think.
100%. I
Here we
think I got
go.
it now.
Boom.
I hope this starts on the right thing here.
The quote once more.
There's no perfect way to live your 20s. You either live them up and become an underskilled 30-year-old, or you work them up and become an underlived 30-year-old. You just have to figure out which you'd rather be, accept the trade-offs, and know that there are no do-overs.
Yeah, wow.
That's the quote I was referring to. Enjoy that one. I know you've seen that one a lot, and I've saved that one actually. But it's true right there for sure.
I love it. I love it. I'm looking to pick the overworked 30-year-old, you know. Um, I think we do well. We're also blessed enough to be we're in a pretty special position that we can do both.
Yeah,
Um, I think that we can work it up while also leaving ourselves enough time to live it up. But yeah, no, it's pretty. Yeah, Chris is good at those. The quotes, they'll only be 10 seconds and they just make you stop.
yeah.
Just
100%. Watch him again and come back to him.
yeah,
Just like the seasons that we talked about in the last episode that we filmed about the spring, summer, fall, etc. And maybe we'll talk about that in a further episode and pull up the clip. But I think the bottom line about upcoming summer, and maybe Sam can reiterate maybe some of the things that I'm about to say, but the biggest thing I think you can do is enjoy enjoy yourself and enjoy the weather and enjoy the company. Don't lose sight of what truly matters to you when you're
hmm
enjoying yourself.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Let those things, let the weather, let the company, which is exactly what I'll tell you I'm about to do for most of May. Be on the road. I'll be, in the US, and then in Canada with you. And I'm gonna let the good weather, let the company, which is you. I'm gonna let those things aid my progress rather than harm it, right? Because I'm being hosted by yourself, which means I'm saving money in that way. I'm not paying for unnecessary accommodation fees. As one good thing. Take advantage of the good food the Euro is cooking up that we're eating together. Enjoying that partnership that we have together, which just helps us grow. Getting in the gym together every morning, as we will do.
Yeah,
Getting outside afterwards, getting the sun on our face. Getting all the benefits like eating right, as I already mentioned. Like that. That's the ways that what could be a distraction, which is being with my best mate who I don't see that often,
yeah,
with lots of good drink and lots of luxury being offered to us. That's an easy formula to be off the path and for us to to falter. But no, we take advantage of it in the right way, and
yeah,
that's just an example. But you're right, do that as much as you can. Stay focused on what matters, and yeah, you're going to be in much better shape to enjoy the months. It's not even my. I don't know about you. I love the end of the year. I love the Christmas season. It's not even my
I do
favorite
too.
summer, but it's still good. It's nice after the what is a bit of a grind. The first few months of the year,
Yeah.
definitely a grind in every way, really. So it's going to be nice. I'm ready for it. But yeah, if there's anything else you want to touch on, I'll let you before we close it
Yeah,
out.
I'll touch on a little something quick, but like what Sam just talked about, like that motivates me. It should motivate you. And I just want to say discipline, guys, is freedom. Discipline is freedom. We talk about that a lot. Um, me and Sam and I got a long way to go. And we want to be a resource for you guys to see real change and real life growth from Sam and I, for a point where you believe that you can do it too. And we're talking from our experience, which is not much, but it is enough to, show you guys that you can do what you want to do. You can kick habits you want to kick. You can replace them with great habits. You can change. You can evolve. It all starts with, do you want to? Do you want to change? Do you want to get better? Okay, yes. Then just do it. Get out of bed and stack up these wins. We
Stack
always
good
talk about
days.
the mundane wins. Chris talks about it all the time. The mundane wins add up over time.
Yeah.
And that and then you look back on it, and it was hard, because it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. It's hard, but it's good, and you're going to be thankful that you went through it. And so I think the message from me and Sam, the bottom excuse me, the bottom line is, don't just because you're in a different season of life, don't change your good habits because of the season. Create more good habits during the season, and you'll set up for very successful, not only summer, spring, fall, year, lifestyle, as we
Yeah.
talked about it early. So
Take advantage of the time, the weather, the company, and all the right reasons, not the wrong
exactly.
ones. That's it. Yeah. Well, that's it, brother. I'll let you close this out as you always do. But yeah, there you go. Exciting times ahead. Some good months. Lots to cover in all the realms that we talk about on the show. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, we enjoy you guys obviously supporting us, tuning in. If you guys want to see specific topics talked about, lifestyle, politics, even maybe sports, let us know. Drop a comment, like, subscribe, turn on the bell. Make sure you don't miss one of these, and lots of good stuff to come from Sam and I in the near future. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next one.